Blind Millionaire dined alone, until he heard someone sit across from him. Marcus Henderson had grown accustomed to the silence that filled his mansion in Beverly Hills, especially during the meals he ate alone in the vast dining room. For 3 years, since losing his sight in an accident at the textile factory he ran, he had avoided any kind of company, preferring isolation to the pity of others. It was during a Tuesday dinner, while mechanically chewing the risotto prepared by Dorothy, his housekeeper, that he heard the unmistakable sound of a chair being dragged across the waxed wooden floor. Someone had sat at the table, right across from him. Marcus stopped chewing, his fork suspended in the air as his heart raced uncontrollably. He knew Dorothy had gone out to fetch some ingredients from the market, as he had heard her announce her departure just minutes before. The property was protected by high walls and a sophisticated electronic security system he himself had installed after the accident. How had someone managed to enter without triggering any alarms? The sound of a small spoon lightly tapping against porcelain broke the tense silence. It was a delicate rhythmic noise, as if someone was stirring something on a plate. Marcus swallowed dryly and whispered a hesitant, "Hello," his voice trembling slightly. The reply came in the form of a clear, cheerful little giggle that echoed through the large room. "Hi, Grandpa," said a small child's voice, clearly from a very young child. "You're eating alone? That's so sad." Marcus nearly choked on the water he was drinking. A child. How had a child not only gotten onto his property, but also reached the dining room without him noticing before? He tried to estimate the age of the owner of that voice. Perhaps 3 or 4 years old, judging by the high pitch and the way she pronounced her words. "Who are you?" asked Marcus, trying to stay calm despite the shock. "How did you get in here?" "I'm Lily," the child replied enthusiastically. "I came to have dinner with Grandpa. Mama Patricia always says you shouldn't eat alone. It's bad for your heart. Do you have a pink plate? I really like pink." Marcus was completely bewildered. The naturalness with which the girl spoke, as if it were the most normal thing in the world to show up for dinner at a stranger's house, left him speechless. She had said Mama Patricia. Could that be his caregiver or guardian? And why was she calling him Grandpa? The sound of little footsteps echoed across the wooden floor, and Marcus felt when the child approached him. A small hand lightly touched his arm, making him shudder. It had been years since anyone touched him so spontaneously and affectionately. "Why do you wear dark glasses inside, Grandpa?" Lily asked with genuine curiosity. "It's not sunny outside right now." Marcus felt a lump in his throat. That innocent question touched a wound he thought had healed. He had grown used to wearing the dark glasses to hide his eyes that could no longer see, an armor against the reality of his condition and the pitying looks from people. I need to wear them," replied Marcus, trying to find simple words to explain something so complex to a child. "My eyes don't work right." "Oh!" exclaimed Lily, as if she had just understood something very important. "So you can't see colors? What a shame. Today the sky was lilac with orange. Really pretty. Do you want me to tell you what colors things are?" Before Marcus could answer, Lily had already returned to her chair and began enthusiastically describing everything she saw in the room. Her cheerful voice filled the empty space Marcus had carried for so long, like a melody he had forgotten was so beautiful. "The table is brown like chocolate, but shiny like a mirror. Your hands are so white and have little marks that look like tiny maps. Oh, and there are big golden curtains, just like my friend Emma's Barbie's hair." Marcus found himself smiling for the first time in months. Lily's childish and poetic description brought a completely new perspective to things he had forgotten to value when he could still see. He began to relax and even enjoy the unusual situation. "Lily, you said your Mama Patricia lets you come here?" asked Marcus, still trying to understand how this situation had happened. "Mama Patricia isn't my real mom," explained Lily between spoonfuls of what seemed to be some food she had brought in a little container. "She takes care of me because my mom and dad went to heaven, but Mama Patricia is really nice. She makes carrot cake and lets me lick the bowl." Marcus's heart tightened. The girl had lost her parents and was being raised by someone Marcus imagined was her grandmother or a caregiver. The natural way she spoke about the situation showed it was something she had already gotten used to, but it still stirred in him a compassion he hadn't felt in a long time. "And how did you get here, Lily? Does your Mama Patricia know where you are?" I saw you through the window, Lily said excitedly. You always eat dinner alone and are very quiet. So I thought, I'll have dinner with him. There's a little hole in the fence that Grandpa Robert hasn't fixed yet. I went through it. Marcus began to understand. The neighboring property, which had been sold recently, must be where Lily lived. Grandpa Robert was probably her grandfather, who was living with her and this Mama Patricia. The hole in the fence explained how she had managed to get in without triggering the motion sensors. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out, now continuing. At that moment, Marcus heard the front door opening, followed by the familiar footsteps of Dorothy returning from the market. He knew his housekeeper would get a huge fright upon finding an unknown child having dinner with him. Good evening, Mr. Marcus. I'm back from... Dorothy's voice trailed off mid-sentence as she entered the dining room. Marcus heard the sound of bags dropping to the floor. Good heavens! Who is this child? Shouted Dorothy, clearly in a panic. How did she get in here? Mr. Marcus, are you all right? Hi, lady, greeted Lily cheerfully, as if it were perfectly normal to be there. I'm Lily. I came to have dinner with Grandpa because he was very lonely. Did you make this yummy food? Dorothy was speechless, looking alternately at Marcus and the blonde girl who was sitting at the table as if she were family. Marcus realized he needed to take control of the situation. Dorothy, calm down, said Marcus in a calm tone. This is Lily. She lives in the house next door and, well, apparently decided to come have dinner with me. Lily, where is your Mama Patricia? She must be worried about you. Mama Patricia was doing crossword puzzles on the porch, Lily replied unconcernedly. I told her I was going to play in the backyard, but I didn't lie. This is a backyard too, right? Marcus couldn't help but smile at Lily's childish logic. Dorothy, still in shock, approached cautiously. Mr. Marcus, should I call someone? Security, her family? No, said Marcus after thinking for a moment. Let's first talk to her family. Lily, can you take me to your house so I can talk to Mama Patricia? Of course, but can you walk without seeing? Asked Lily with genuine concern. I can be your little eyes. I know the way really well. The girl's sincere offer touched Marcus deeply. For 3 years, no one had offered help so spontaneously and without judgment. People usually felt uncomfortable with his condition and offered help out of obligation or pity, not out of genuine affection like Lily was showing. With Dorothy's help, Marcus stood up and extended his hand to Lily. The small, warm little hand held his fingers firmly, and he felt a strange sensation, as if a part of him that had been asleep for years was waking up. Let's go slowly, Grandpa, said Lily seriously, taking on her role as guide. First, there are 3 steps to go down, then there's a little stone path. I won't let you trip. The journey to the neighboring house was a revelation for Marcus. Lily narrated every detail of the path with enthusiasm, the flowers that were sprouting in the garden, the neighborhood cat that had climbed onto the wall, the sound of the little birds returning to sleep. It was as if she were truly his eyes, showing him a world he had forgotten to notice. The neighboring property was much more modest than his. Marcus could smell home-cooked food in the air and hear the sound of a television playing. Lily led him to a small porch where a woman's voice cried out in alarm. Lily, my goodness, child, where were you? I looked for you all over the backyard. The voice belonged to an older woman, clearly distressed. And who is this gentleman? Mama Patricia. This is my friend Grandpa, Lily explained proudly. He lives in the big house next door and can't see colors. I went to have dinner with him because he was very sad and all alone. Marcus politely introduced himself, explaining the situation. Patricia, who introduced herself as Patricia Wilson, was mortified to learn that her granddaughter had trespassed on the neighbor's property. Mr. Marcus, I am so terribly sorry, said Patricia, visibly embarrassed. Lily is very curious and sometimes doesn't understand she can't go around visiting strangers. This won't happen again, I assure you. Actually, said Marcus, surprising even himself, it was no trouble at all. It's been a long time since I've had such pleasant company for dinner. Lily bounced with joy. Can I go have dinner with Grandpa again tomorrow, Mama Patricia? Please, He liked me a lot." Patricia hesitated, clearly uncomfortable. Marcus realized she was in a delicate position. She didn't want to offend the neighbor, but she also didn't want Lily to become a nuisance. "If it's not too much trouble for you," Marcus said carefully, "Lily would be welcome to have dinner with me whenever you'd like. It's been a long time since I've had company." And so began a routine that would completely change Marcus's life. Starting the next day, Lily appeared religiously at dinner time, always with her little pink plate and a new story to tell. Dorothy, initially reluctant, soon grew fond of the girl and began preparing special dishes with her in mind. During these visits, Marcus learned more about Lily's life. She had lost her parents in a car accident when she was just 2 years old, and had since lived with her maternal grandparents Patricia and Robert Wilson. The couple was facing financial difficulties. Patricia worked as a cleaner in 3 different houses to support the family, and Robert had been unemployed for almost a year. Lily spoke of her grandparents with great love, but Marcus read between the lines that life wasn't easy for them. The girl sometimes mentioned that she got hungry between meals, or that she couldn't buy some toys she wanted. These innocent revelations awakened in Marcus a protective feeling he didn't know he still possessed. His conversations with Lily also made Marcus reflect on his own situation. He had isolated himself from the world after losing his sight, convinced he had nothing left to offer anyone. But the way Lily treated him with naturalness, affection, and even admiration made him question whether he hadn't been too hard on himself. One evening, Lily came home quieter than usual. Marcus noticed the change in the girl's behavior immediately. "Lily, what happened today? You're very quiet," asked Marcus with concern. "Grandpa Robert is very sad," sighed Lily. "He spent the whole day sitting in the porch chair, staring into space. Mama Patricia said it's because he doesn't have a job, but I don't understand." "What is a job, Grandpa Marcus?" Marcus felt a tightening in his chest. He explained in simple terms what a job was and why it was important for people to have one. Lily listened attentively and then asked a question that left him speechless. "Grandpa Marcus, can't you give a job to Grandpa Robert? You have a big house and must have lots of things to do." Lily's innocent suggestion planted a seed in Marcus's mind. He really did need help with various things that his visual condition made difficult. There was piled-up mail, important documents to organize, business-related matters he had neglected. Robert could be a solution to both problems. The next day, Marcus asked Dorothy to accompany him to the Wilsons' house. He wanted to get to know Robert better and assess if it would be possible to offer him some kind of work. The initial meeting was awkward. Robert was clearly embarrassed by his situation and wary of the wealthy neighbor. Robert Wilson was a 55-year-old man who had worked his whole life as a mechanic. Recently, the shop where he worked had closed, and he was struggling to find a new job due to his age and the economic crisis. He was proud and independent, traits that Marcus admired immediately. "Mr. Wilson," said Marcus carefully, "I have a proposal that might interest you. I need someone to help me with some tasks that my condition makes difficult. Would you be interested in a job as a personal assistant?" Robert was suspicious. "I don't need charity, Mr. Marcus. I have my dignity and prefer to earn my money with my own sweat." "It's not charity," assured Marcus. "It's real work. I need someone to help me read correspondence, organize documents, accompany me to some meetings. Someone I can trust. Your granddaughter spoke very highly of you." The mention of Lily softened Robert's expression. He looked at the girl who was playing in the yard, unaware of the important conversation happening because of her. "Lily likes you a lot," said Robert slowly. "She talks about you all the time, says you're lonely and need friends." Marcus smiled. "She's not wrong. And you? Do you also feel lonely sometimes?" Patricia, who had remained silent during the conversation, finally spoke. "Since we moved here, we hardly know anyone. It's hard to start over at our age, Mr. Marcus, but we're trying to do our best for Lily." The couple's honesty touched Marcus. He saw in them a determination and a family love that reminded him of his own family, lost so long ago. His parents had died when he was young, and he never started a family of his own, dedicating his whole life to business. "How about we try a probationary period?" suggested Marcus. 1 month working together to see if we adapt to each other. If it works, we can formalize the arrangement." Robert reluctantly agreed, more out of financial need than conviction. He started working at Marcus's house the following week, and gradually the two men developed a relationship of trust and mutual respect. Robert proved to be extremely competent and reliable. He organized all of Marcus's accumulated correspondence, helped him reconnect with lawyers and accountants who handled his business affairs, and became his eyes for practical day-to-day matters. Even more importantly, he brought a masculine energy and a practical perspective that Marcus had lost. During this period, Lily continued her daily visits, but now sometimes came accompanied by her grandfather. The dinners became family moments, with lively conversations about Robert's workday, Lily's discoveries, and the memories Marcus began to share about his past life. An important revelation came when Robert casually mentioned he had worked many years in a textile factory before becoming a mechanic. Marcus was intrigued and asked which factory. When Robert said the name, Marcus was shocked. It was one of the competitor companies of his own factory. "I worked there 15 years, Robert recounted. "It was a good job, but the company was sold, and the new owner shut everything down to build a mall. Hundreds of families were left unemployed overnight." Marcus swallowed hard. He knew that story, because it had been his company that bought the competitor factory shortly before his accident. The decision to close the factory and sell the land had been purely financial. He hadn't considered the human impact of the decision. "When did this happen?" asked Marcus, trying to keep his voice calm. "About 4 years ago. It was right after the old owner suffered a terrible accident. They say he lost his sight and stepped away from the business. The company was taken over by some managers who only thought about quick profit." The irony of the situation hit Marcus like a punch. Robert had lost his job because of a decision made by his company, and now he was working for him without knowing this connection. Marcus felt torn between the weight of guilt and the responsibility of revealing the truth. That night, Marcus could barely sleep. He knew he needed to tell Robert about his true identity, but he feared losing the trust they had built. He also feared losing Lily, who had become the light of his days. Dear listener, if you are enjoying the story, please take a moment to leave a like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we are just starting out. Now, continuing. The next day, Marcus gathered the courage to have the difficult conversation. He asked Robert to sit with him in the library and, with a trembling voice, began to reveal the truth. "Robert, I need to tell you something important about who I really am," began Marcus. "My full name is Marcus Henderson Bryant. I was the owner of Henderson Textiles, the company that bought the factory where you worked." The silence that followed was deafening. Marcus could feel the tension in the air, Robert's shock being slowly processed. "You?" Robert's voice came out as a disbelieving whisper. "You are the man who destroyed the lives of hundreds of families." "That's not how I saw it at the time," said Marcus, knowing any explanation would sound like an excuse. "It was just a business decision. I didn't think about the people, the families that would be affected, and it has haunted me every day since my accident." Robert stood up abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor. Marcus could hear his heavy breathing, the effort to control his anger. "For months I looked for work," said Robert in a controlled voice full of hurt. "My wife had to work 3 different jobs so we could survive. Patricia developed health problems because of the stress and overwork. And you were here in your mansion, not caring about what you had caused." The accusation was fair, and Marcus accepted it in silence. He knew there was no justification for what he had done, only the reality that he could no longer change the past. "You have every right to hate me," said Marcus quietly. "I understand if you want to leave and never come back. But before making this decision, I want you to know that these last few months working with you and spending time with your family have been the best I've had in years. You've shown me what really matters in life." Robert fell silent for long minutes. Marcus could hear his nervous footsteps in the library, the sound of heavy breathing as he processed the revelation. "Lily cannot know," said Robert finally. "She likes you too much. I don't want to destroy her happiness because of past mistakes." "And you? Can you continue working for me knowing who I am?" Robert sighed deeply. "I need to think. I need to talk to Patricia. This situation is..." complicated. Marcus nodded, understanding. I understand perfectly. Regardless of your decision, I want you to know that you and your family will always have my support. It's the least I can do to try to make up for the harm I caused. That night, Lily came to dinner as usual, but Robert didn't join her. The girl noticed her grandpa's absence and the sadness in Marcus's eyes. Why didn't Grandpa Robert come to dinner today? Asked Lily innocently. Is he sick? Marcus had to make up an excuse, saying that Robert was tired and needed to rest. Lily accepted the explanation, but Marcus noticed she felt something was different. Her child's intuition picked up on the tension in the air. Over the next few days, Robert didn't show up for work. Marcus respected his need for space and time to decide, but anxiety consumed him. He had grown accustomed to Robert's male companionship and missed him not only as an assistant, but as a friend. Lily continued her visits, but now she came alone. She was visibly worried about the change in her grandpa's behavior and kept asking questions about when he would return to work. Marcus felt terrible for having caused this situation, especially because it was affecting the girl he loved so much. 1 week after the revelation, Patricia appeared at the mansion's door. Marcus received her in the living room, nervous about what she might have to say. "Mr. Marcus," began Patricia in a firm voice, "Robert told me everything about who you are and what happened at the factory where he worked." Marcus prepared for the worst, expecting harsh words and possibly the end of the relationship with the family. "I want you to know that that period was terrible for us," continued Patricia. "Robert was depressed for months. I had to work so much I almost had a nervous breakdown. Lily was very little, but she felt our tension and cried a lot." Marcus lowered his head, the weight of guilt crushing him again. "But," said Patricia, surprising him, "I also want you to know that these last few weeks have been the best we've had in years. Robert regained purpose and dignity. Lily is happier than ever, and we finally feel part of a community, of a family." Marcus raised his head, hopeful but still fearful. "Robert is struggling with himself," explained Patricia. "He knows that hating won't solve anything, but it's hard for his pride to accept help from someone he considers responsible for our past suffering. I came here to say that regardless of what he decides, I want Lily to keep visiting you. She loves you as if you were really her grandpa." Patricia's words brought tears to Marcus's eyes. The generosity of spirit of this simple woman humbled and inspired him at the same time. "Patricia, I want to try to make up for the harm I caused," said Marcus sincerely. "Not just with work for Robert, but in a broader way. I want to help other families who were affected by my past decisions." "How?" asked Patricia, curious. Marcus had spent nights awake thinking about this question. "I'm thinking of creating a project to generate jobs in the region, maybe a cooperative or a community workshop. Something that could benefit several families and that Robert could help manage." Patricia fell silent, considering the proposal. "You would need to talk to Robert about this, but I think it would be a good way to turn something bad into something good." 2 days later, Robert returned to work. He was clearly still struggling with conflicting feelings, but there was a new determination in his posture. "I've decided I will keep working for you," said Robert without preamble, "but on one condition. I want to help with the project Patricia told me about. I want to turn our story from one of revenge into one of redemption." Marcus felt immense relief. "I accept any condition you want to impose. I am genuinely sorry for what I did in the past and want to dedicate the rest of my life to trying to make amends." "Then let's work together to create something good," said Robert, extending his hand to Marcus. The handshake was firm and sealed not just a work agreement, but the beginning of a true partnership. Lily arrived for dinner that night, radiant with happiness upon finding the two men working together again. She didn't fully understand what had happened, but her intuition told her everything was all right again. "Grandpa Marcus, Grandpa Robert, are you not going to fight anymore?" asked Lily during dinner. The two men looked at each other and smiled. "No, Lily," said Marcus. "We're never going to fight again. In fact, we're going to work together to help lots of people." "That's great!" exclaimed Lily, clapping her hands. "Then you'll be real friends, just like me and Emma." The comparison to a childhood friendship made both men laugh, but there was a deep truth in it. They were building a friendship based on forgiveness, mutual understanding, and shared goals. In the weeks that followed, Marcus and Robert worked tirelessly on the cooperative project. Marcus used his contacts and financial resources, while Robert contributed his practical experience and knowledge of the local community's needs. They decided to focus on a community auto repair shop that could serve both as a source of jobs and as a vocational training center. Lily followed the project's development with childlike curiosity. She constantly asked questions about what they were doing and offered suggestions that, though innocent, sometimes contained surprisingly useful insights. "Why don't you make a school to teach people how to fix cars?" asked Lily one day. "Then everyone can learn and no one is without a job." The girl's idea planted an important seed. Marcus and Robert began to consider expanding the concept to include not just a repair shop, but also a vocational training center that could teach various technical skills to unemployed people in the region. The project began to take real shape when Marcus purchased a plot of land in an industrial area of the city. The location was perfect, large enough to house both the repair shop and the training rooms, and situated in an area with easy access for future employees and students. Robert took responsibility for coordinating the construction and equipping of the facilities. His experience as a mechanic was invaluable for planning the shop's layout and determining which equipment would be needed. Marcus handled the financial and bureaucratic aspects, navigating the necessary permits and regulations. During this period, the relationship between the two families deepened even further. Lily practically lived between the two houses, treating both as her home. Dorothy grew so fond of the girl that she began preparing her favorite recipes and teaching her how to cook simple dishes. One evening, while they were having dinner together, Lily made an observation that deeply touched the adults present. "Now I have two grandpas," she said happily. "Grandpa Robert teaches me how to work the gears, and Grandpa Marcus tells me beautiful stories, and Aunt Dorothy makes the most delicious cake in the world. We're a big family." Marcus felt his eyes fill with tears. The simplicity with which Lily had defined his situation, a big, loving family, contrasted with the years of loneliness he had imposed on himself. He realized he had found not just a second chance at happiness, but also an opportunity to be the father figure he had never been to anyone. The workshop was finally ready after 3 months of intense work. Marcus insisted that Robert be the general manager, despite the man's initial reluctance. The grand opening was scheduled for a Saturday afternoon, with a small party for the community. Lily was the most excited of all about the party. She helped Dorothy prepare sweets and snacks, and insisted on decorating the workshop with drawings she made herself. Her childish drawings showed happy people working on cars, smiling families, and lots of colorful hearts. "These drawings are going to stay here forever," Lily declared seriously. "So everyone remembers this is a place of love and work." The grand opening party was a success beyond expectations. Dozens of people from the community attended, many of them looking for work or interested in the training courses that would be offered. Marcus felt a sense of fulfillment he had never experienced in business. For the first time, he was creating something that would benefit people instead of just generating profit. Robert shone as the host, explaining how the workshop worked and the plans for the training center. His passion for the project was contagious, and Marcus could see he had found his true calling as a community leader. During the party, Lily circulated among the guests like a little ambassador, telling everyone about her 2 grandpas and how they had created that special place. Her naturalness and affection broke down any resistance people might have had towards Marcus. A defining moment happened when a middle-aged man approached Marcus with tears in his eyes. "Mr. Marcus," the man said in an emotional voice, "I worked at the factory you closed a few years ago. I lost my home. My family almost fell apart. I came to hate you very much." Marcus prepared himself to face the man's anger and resentment, but what came next surprised him completely. "But today, seeing what you've created here, I understand that sometimes people can change. My son is going to be one of the first students at the training center. You're giving the next generation an opportunity that our generation lost." The unexpected forgiveness from that man broke the last emotional barriers Marcus still held. He cried openly, feeling he had finally found a path to the redemption he had sought for so long. In the months that followed, the workshop prospered beyond all expectations. Robert hired 6 local mechanics, and the training center was always full with classes of young people and adults learning new skills. The cooperative became a landmark in the community, not just as a source of jobs, but as a symbol that second chances and personal transformation were possible. Lily continued to be the emotional heart of the entire operation. Now 5 years old, she had become the unofficial mascot of the workshop. All the employees knew her and enjoyed her visits after school. She had learned the names of all the basic tools and loved to help by organizing screws and washers in colorful jars. Marcus, in turn, discovered a passion for teaching he never knew he had. He began giving lectures at the training center on entrepreneurship and small business management. His experience as a businessman, combined with the lessons in humility he had learned, created rich and inspiring content for the students. Family life had also settled into a comforting routine. Robert and Patricia practically lived in Marcus's mansion, occupying an entire wing that had been specially renovated for them. Lily had her own room in both houses, but preferred to sleep at Marcus's house because, according to her, Grandpa Marcus has nightmares and needs someone to take care of him. It was true that Marcus still occasionally suffered from nightmares related to the accident that cost him his sight. But Lily's loving presence, who sometimes appeared in his room in the middle of the night to check if he was okay, brought a peace that no medication had achieved. One Sunday afternoon, as Marcus and Lily played in the garden, she asked a question that caught him off guard. "Grandpa Marcus, do you regret going blind?" Marcus stopped pushing the swing where she was sitting. It was a complex and profound question from such a young child. "Why do you want to know that, Lily?" "Because if you hadn't gone blind, maybe you would have never met us," said Lily, with a childlike logic that was both simple and profound. "And then I wouldn't have my special grandpa." Marcus was speechless. Lily's perspective transformed his personal tragedy into something that had led to meeting the people who were now his family. It was a way of seeing life that only a child could have, focused on the good that resulted, rather than the bad that caused the situation. "You know, Lily," said Marcus after thinking carefully, "I wish I could see your face and your favorite colors. But you're right. If it weren't for my blindness, maybe I would have never stopped to really listen and feel the world around me, and I certainly would have never met you." Lily jumped off the swing and ran to hug Marcus. "So your blindness was like a gift in disguise?" "Exactly," said Marcus, hugging the girl tightly. "A very well-disguised gift." At that moment, Marcus had an epiphany. He had spent 3 years mourning what he had lost, but Lily showed him that he had gained much more than he lost. He had found a family, a new purpose, and a way of seeing the world that was richer and more meaningful than any physical sight could provide. This revelation marked a new phase in Marcus's life. He began speaking publicly about his experience, participating in motivational events and radio programs where he shared his story of transformation. His message was simple but powerful. It's never too late to start over, and the greatest difficulties can turn into the greatest blessings. Lily always accompanied him at these public appearances. She had become a little local celebrity, known for her spontaneous and wise answers during interviews. Her loving presence beside Marcus vividly demonstrated the transformative power of unconditional love. During one of these radio interviews, the host asked Lily what she thought was most special about her grandpa Marcus. "He has eyes in his heart," Lily replied naturally. "He can't see things with the eyes in his face, but he sees people with the eyes of his heart. That's why he loves me so much, even though he's never seen my face." Lily's answer went viral on social media and became an inspirational phrase shared by thousands of people. Marcus was moved to learn that Lily's childlike wisdom was touching hearts across the country. The community workshop was also expanding. The success of the original project attracted the attention of non-governmental organizations and even government social development programs. Marcus was invited to replicate the model in other cities, creating a network of similar cooperatives. Robert took on the role of regional coordinator for the project, traveling to other cities to help implement new workshops. His personal and professional growth was remarkable. From a depressed, unemployed man, he had become a respected leader in the field of community development. Dorothy also found her special place in the new family setup. She became a sort of matriarch, taking care not only of Marcus's house, but also coordinating the social activities of the workshop. Her culinary skills made her responsible for community events, and she loved preparing large meals to celebrate each new milestone of the project. 1 year after the inauguration of the first workshop, the family decided to throw a big anniversary party. Lily, now 6 years old, insisted that the party also be a celebration of the day we became a real family. The party took place in the workshop's courtyard, which was decorated with colorful flags and Lily's drawings. Hundreds of people attended, employees, course students, neighbors, and even people who had traveled from other cities to learn about the project. During the party, Marcus was invited to speak to the audience. He climbed onto a small makeshift stage with Lily by his side as always. 2 years ago, Marcus began, I was a bitter and isolated man who thought his life was over. Today, I am here surrounded by hundreds of friends, with a wonderful family, and knowing that my life has a greater purpose. He paused, moved by the warm response from the crowd. This transformation began when a brave little girl decided I needed company for dinner. Lily taught me that love doesn't need explanations or justifications. It simply happens when we open our hearts. Lily tugged on Marcus's sleeve and whispered something in his ear. He smiled and bent down to pick her up. Lily wants to say something to you all, Marcus announced. The little girl took the microphone with both hands and spoke with the naturalness that characterized her. I want to thank everyone for liking my grandpa Marcus. He is very good and loves all people. And I want to say that if you know someone who is alone and sad, you should go have dinner with that person. Because eating alone makes the heart wilt. The audience erupted in applause and laughter. The simplicity of Lily's message touched everyone present, reminding them that small gestures of kindness can transform lives. After the party, as the family gathered for their daily dinner, Marcus reflected on the incredible journey they had taken together. He thought of the lonely and bitter man he was 2 years ago, and the fulfilled and loved man he was now. Lily, said Marcus, do you remember what you asked me about whether I regretted going blind? I remember, replied Lily, playing with her favorite pink plate. I want you to know that today, definitely, I do not regret it, because if it weren't for that, I would never have found you all. I would never have learned what really matters in life. Patricia wiped her eyes with her apron. Robert smiled proudly. Dorothy served everyone a second helping of dessert. And Lily, with her childlike wisdom, summed it all up in one simple sentence. Sometimes bad things happen so that good things can happen later. Marcus knew she was right. His blindness had been the catalyst for the greatest transformation of his life. He had lost the ability to see the physical world, but he had gained the ability to see what truly matters: love, family, community, and the purpose of serving others. Months later, Marcus received an unexpected invitation. A prestigious university wanted to offer him an honorary doctorate in recognition of his community development work. The ceremony was to be grand, with hundreds of graduates and their families present. Marcus initially hesitated to accept. He did not consider himself worthy of such an honor, still carrying remnants of guilt for his past actions. But Lily, when she learned of the invitation, was overjoyed. Grandpa, you have to accept. You deserve an award for how much you help people. Robert and Patricia agreed enthusiastically. They saw in Marcus not the man who had caused suffering in the past, but the man who was dedicating his life to repairing mistakes and creating opportunities for others. The graduation ceremony was a landmark event. Marcus, wearing his academic gown, took the stage guided by Lily, who insisted on accompanying him. The university dean gave a moving speech about second chances and the power of redemption through community service. When Marcus received his honorary degree, the audience rose in a standing ovation that lasted several minutes. Lily, by his side on stage, applauded proudly as if celebrating a personal victory. Marcus's acceptance speech was brief but touching. He spoke about how a child had transformed his life by teaching him that true success is not measured in money or power, but in the ability to positively touch the lives of others. The greatest title I have ever received, said Marcus, is not this honorary doctorate, though I am deeply grateful for it. It is the title of Grandpa that a special little girl gave me. This title didn't come with a diploma or ceremony, but it came with something far more valuable. It came with unconditional love. After the ceremony, while the family had lunch at a restaurant near the university, Lily made a typical observation. "Grandpa Marcus, now you're a doctor. Does that mean you can take care of hurt people?" Marcus laughed. "Not exactly, Lily. My doctorate is honorary. It's more like recognition for the work we do in the community." "Oh," said Lily, seeming a little disappointed. "But you already take care of hurt people. You take care of people who are hurt here," she pointed to her little heart. "And that's more important than taking care of hurts we can see." Once again, Lily's childlike wisdom surprised the adults. She had perfectly understood Marcus's work, defining it in a way no adult could express so simply. Dear listener, if you are enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we are just starting out. Now continuing. On the way back home, Marcus reflected on how his life had become rich in ways he never imagined possible. He had a loving family, meaningful work, the respect of the community, and a sense of purpose he had never experienced before. The community workshop now had 3 units in operation, employing more than 50 people directly and having trained hundreds of young people in technical skills. The project's impact went far beyond the numbers. Entire families had been transformed, the community's self-esteem had been restored, and a network of mutual support had formed naturally. Marcus had also become a respected figure in the field of corporate social responsibility. His lectures and consultations were sought by other companies wanting to implement similar projects. He always emphasized that the secret to success was not just in financial investment, but in personal involvement and genuine commitment to the community. Lily, now 7 years old and in 2nd grade, had become a little social activist. She organized toy donation campaigns at school, convinced classmates to visit elderly people in nursing homes, and always found creative ways to help those in need. Her teacher told Patricia that Lily had an unusual emotional maturity for her age, always showing empathy and a willingness to help others. Patricia knew this trait had developed through her time with Marcus and from observing how small gestures of affection could transform lives. At home, the family routine was well established. Mornings began with Marcus and Lily having breakfast together, while she told him about her dreams from the night and he shared his plans for the day. Robert left early to supervise the workshops, and Dorothy took care of the house with the loving efficiency that characterized her. Afternoons were dedicated to Marcus's work with correspondence, video conference meetings with other cities interested in the project, and planning sessions with Robert when he returned. Lily always made a point of helping, organizing papers, taking messages with her childish handwriting, and offering suggestions that sometimes surprised with their originality. Evenings remained sacred for family dinners. This tradition, which had begun with Lily unexpectedly showing up to eat with Marcus, had become the most important moment of the day for the whole family. It was when they shared experiences, solved problems together, and simply enjoyed each other's company. During one of these dinners, Lily made an important announcement. "I've decided what I'm going to be when I grow up," she said seriously. "I'm going to be just like Grandpa Marcus." "And what is being just like Grandpa Marcus?" asked Patricia, curious. "It's taking care of people who are sad and lonely. It's making sure people have work and feel important. And it's having dinner with everyone so nobody is alone." Marcus was moved by the definition Lily had given of his work. It was a simple description that perfectly captured the essence of what he was trying to do: combat loneliness and restore dignity to people through work and community. "That's a very beautiful profession, Lily," said Marcus, "but you still have plenty of time to decide. You might discover other things you like to do as well." "No," said Lily with determination. "I already know. I want to take care of people, just like you take care of me, just like Grandpa Robert takes care of the workshop, just like Mama Patricia takes care of everyone, just like Aunt Dorothy takes care of our house." Marcus realized Lily had grown up in an environment where serving others was seen as something natural and valuable. She didn't see social work as a sacrifice or obligation, but as a natural extension of family love and care. This conversation inspired Marcus to create a new project, an educational program for children in the community, where Lily and other kids could learn from an early age about solidarity, teamwork, and social responsibility. The program would be implemented in local schools as an extracurricular activity. Lily was thrilled to learn she would help plan the program. She contributed ideas like dinner classes, where children would visit the elderly to share meals, toy workshops, where children would fix broken toys to donate, and reading groups where children would read stories to people with visual impairments. The program, nicknamed Little Community Heroes, was launched 6 months later with great success. Lily became the program's junior ambassador, helping to recruit other children and demonstrating the activities during school presentations. Seeing Lily leading other children in volunteer activities brought Marcus a special satisfaction. He knew he was helping to shape a new generation that would grow up valuing community service and solidarity. The program also brought Marcus even closer to the school community. He began to be invited to speak at parent meetings, school presentations, and educational events. His story of personal transformation became an inspiring example for many families. During one of these presentations, a mother approached Marcus after his talk. "Mr. Marcus," she said with tears in her eyes, "my son was going through a very difficult time at school. He felt isolated and friendless. After he met Lily and participated in the Little Community Heroes program, he completely transformed. Now he has confidence, has made friends, and is always looking for ways to help others." Stories like this became common. The program was having an impact far beyond what Marcus had imagined, positively influencing not only the participating children, but also their families and the school dynamics as a whole. Lily felt proud whenever she heard these success stories. For her, it was natural that helping other people brought happiness, but she was glad to know others were discovering this truth too. In a nighttime conversation before bed, Lily shared a reflection with Marcus that showed her growing maturity. "Grandpa Marcus, I was thinking, do you know why I like helping other people so much?" "Why, Lily?" "Because when I help someone, I feel just like when you helped me. Remember when I was little and I came here for dinner because I felt alone? You made me feel loved and important. Now I want to make other people feel that way too." Marcus was deeply moved. Lily had understood the virtuous cycle of love and service, how receiving care inspired her to care for others. She was perpetuating the good she had received, multiplying it through her own actions. "You know, Lily," said Marcus, "that is one of life's most important lessons. The love we receive isn't meant to be kept just for ourselves. It's meant to be shared with others. You learned that very early." "You taught me," Lily said simply. "You showed me that when you love someone, you want that person to be happy. And when you see other people sad, you want to help too." Lily's simple wisdom continued to surprise Marcus. She had distilled complex concepts about altruism and compassion into fundamental truths any child could understand. 2 years later, when Lily turned 9, the family organized a special party. It was also the 5th anniversary of the day Lily had first appeared for dinner with Marcus, a date they had decided to celebrate as Family Day. The party took place in the mansion's garden, which had been transformed into a family gathering space over the years. There was a large table where the whole extended family could dine together, including workshop employees and their families who had become part of the circle of friends. During the party, Marcus announced a special surprise. He had decided to create a formal foundation to expand all the projects they had developed. The Lily Henderson Foundation would bear the name of the girl who had inspired the entire transformation. Lily was speechless when she learned of the tribute. It was the first time the adults had seen her truly moved to the point of being unable to speak. When she finally found her words, she said something that would be etched forever in everyone's memory. "I don't deserve to have my name on a foundation," Lily said with genuine humility. "I just did what anyone should do, be a friend to someone who was alone." "That is exactly why you deserve it," Marcus replied. "Because you see extraordinary gestures as normal things anyone should do. That's the mark of a true leader." The foundation was officially established 6 months later, with Lily as the honorary junior president, a mainly symbolic title, but one she took very seriously. She attended planning meetings, contributed ideas for new projects, and helped introduce the foundation to potential partners and donors. The foundation's work expanded to include several fronts: community workshops, an educational program for children, a senior visitation program, a sewing cooperative for women, and a support center for families in financial difficulty. Each program maintained the original philosophy born from the relationship between Marcus and Lily, the idea that small gestures of care and dignified work opportunities could transform entire lives. The story of Marcus and Lily began to attract national attention. Social responsibility magazines published articles about the foundation. Television programs invited Marcus for interviews, and universities began studying the model as an example of successful community development. In all these public appearances, Marcus always made sure to emphasize that the true success of the initiative was not in numbers or recognition, but in the personal transformation he had experienced through his relationship with Lily and her family. "I used to measure success in financial terms," Marcus would say in his talks. "Today I measure success by the number of smiles we can create, by the number of people who find dignity through work, by the number of children who grow up knowing they have worth." Lily, when she occasionally joined these interviews, always brought the child's perspective that touched people's hearts. "Grandpa Marcus always says complicated things," she would say with her characteristic spontaneity. "But it's simple like this. When we're nice to people, they get happy. And when people get happy, the world gets better." The simplicity of her message resonated with audiences of all ages and social levels. Lily became a little national celebrity, known for her early wisdom and natural charisma. But despite all the external attention, family life remained centered on the simple traditions they had established from the start. Family dinners remained sacred. Marcus and Lily's mornings continued to be special times for conversation, and the house stayed open to any community member who needed help or simply company. On a particularly meaningful night, 2 years after the foundation's creation, the family gathered for dinner as always. Lily, now 11 years old and showing signs of leaving childhood behind, made an observation that showed her growing maturity. "You know what I discovered?" Lily said during dessert. "I discovered that our story isn't about Grandpa Marcus going blind or about me showing up for dinner here. Our story is about how people can save each other." She paused, organizing her thoughts like a child trying to express something important. "Grandpa Marcus saved me from the loneliness of not having parents. I saved him from the loneliness of not having a family. Grandpa Robert saved himself by finding work and purpose. Mama Patricia saved herself by not having to worry so much about money anymore. And all of us together saved many other people through the foundation." Marcus was impressed by the depth of Lily's reflection. She had understood something many adults take years to grasp, that salvation rarely comes from grand heroic gestures, but from mutual support and everyday care between people who love each other. "You're right, Lily," said Marcus. "We save each other every day through small gestures of love and care. That's why I will never stop having dinner with people who are alone," Lily declared with determination, "because there will always be someone who needs to be saved, and there will always be someone who can help save them." In that moment, Marcus realized that his greatest contribution to the world would not be the workshops, the foundation, or the social programs he had created. His greatest contribution would be Lily, a young woman growing up with the certainty that her purpose in life was to care for other people. That night's conversation marked a new phase in Marcus's life. He began to think less about expanding projects and more about ensuring that the values and principles they had developed together would be preserved and passed on to future generations. Marcus knew that Lily would eventually grow up, perhaps move away to study or start her own family, but he also knew that the values she had learned and the life lessons they had shared would continue to influence her choices for the rest of her life. For now, though, he was content to enjoy every dinner, every morning conversation, every small moment of family time. He had learned, through Lily, that happiness was not in great achievements or public recognition, but in these simple moments of shared love. That night, after Lily went to sleep, Marcus sat in his favorite armchair in the library and reflected on the extraordinary journey his life had taken. From a bitter and isolated man, he had become a loving patriarch, a respected community leader, and above all, a devoted grandfather. He thought of the boy he had been, full of business ambitions and focused only on accumulating wealth. Then he thought of the mature man he had become after the accident, consumed by self-pity and convinced his life was over. And finally he thought of the man he was now, fulfilled, useful, loved, and surrounded by a family he had chosen and that had chosen him back. The transformation had been slow and sometimes painful, but it had also been deeply rewarding. Marcus knew he would not trade his current life for any version of his previous life, even if it meant regaining his sight. He had found something far more valuable than the ability to see the physical world. He had found the ability to see what truly matters. And that vision had come through the loving eyes of a girl who had decided, with the simple wisdom of childhood, that he needed company for dinner. As Marcus prepared for bed that night, he offered a silent prayer of gratitude. Gratitude for the blindness that had forced him to see with his heart. Gratitude for the loneliness that had prepared him to value companionship. Gratitude for Lily, who had appeared in his life like an angel disguised as a child. And gratitude for the entire extended family that had formed around them, proving that love can truly overcome all barriers. In the next room, Lily was lying in her bed looking out the window at the stars. She too was thinking about her family and how her life had changed since that first dinner with the special grandpa. She vaguely remembered how she felt before, not exactly sad, but as if something were missing. Now she knew what was missing: a purpose, a mission, a way to channel all the love she carried inside. Lily fell asleep that night, knowing exactly who she was and what she wanted to do with her life. She would be a person who has dinner with people who are alone, who creates work for people in need, who turns sadness into joy. She would be, in other words, exactly like her grandpa Marcus had become. And so, in a house in Beverly Hills that had known decades of silence and loneliness, two people who had met by chance continued to sleep peacefully, knowing they had found much more than dinner companionship. They had found the true meaning of family, purpose, and unconditional love. The story that had begun with a rich boy isolated in his mansion and an orphaned girl searching for connection had transformed into something much greater, a network of love, care, and service that touched hundreds of lives and would continue to grow for generations. Marcus and Lily had proven that it is never too late to start over, that the greatest tragedies can become the greatest blessings, and that true love knows no barriers of age, social class, or circumstance. They had created something beautiful and lasting together, a chosen family based on mutual love and a commitment to each other's well-being. And every morning when Marcus and Lily met for breakfast, when they shared their special conversations, when they planned ways to help other people, they reaffirmed the most important lesson they had learned, that life becomes truly meaningful when we live it in service to one another with love, generosity, and gratitude for every shared moment. End of story. Now tell us what you thought of this story and where you're watching from. If you have a similar experience to share with us, leave it in the comments with sincere words. Do you believe that small gestures of affection can really transform lives as it happened with Marcus and Lily? We would love to read your opinion. Thank you so much for your company. Don't forget to leave your like and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other moving stories.